Hello friends, welcome to this edition of VENKY Asks. In this section, we take pertinent questions related to your mains examination in various topics of general studies. Today's question relates to international relations and a burning issue that is confronting us today, that is our relationship with India and Nepal. I request you that once you have read the question, give yourself time to write the answer for this question. Mind it, pause the video, of course, and after that, once you've written your answer, go through the explanation to see if you have covered the points that are necessary. It is quite possible that you may have written extra points, no problem in that. Consider the word limit, but do make sure that the points that are mentioned in this explanation are covered in your answer. That way, the answer will carry more weightage and will give you more percentage points. All the best. Today's question is, keeping the current India-Nepal relations in mind, discuss the relevance of Panchsheel Agreement in today's foreign policy of the country. Word limit is 200 words and time limit is not more than 10 minutes. Okay, so here are the explanation and the points that you should have mentioned in your answer. First thing is we need to understand or know what are these Panchsheel principles that we are talking about. Basically, Panchsheel was an agreement between India and China signed in 1954. It comprises of 5 basic points which are the bedrock of India's foreign policy. These 5 points are mutual respect for each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty, that we won't ingress into each other's territory, claim whatever is ours, disputes are always there, but we would respect each other's territorial claims. Also, the sovereignty of that particular nation, with what authority he or she can work, that is the part of sovereignty. Mutual non-aggression, self-explained. Mutual non-interference in each other's internal affairs. Equality and mutual benefit, and peaceful coexistence. So these are the 5 basic principles, and if you realize the 5 very basic principles through which all countries in the world can live together happily with their neighbors, with their partners. When we talk about this question, the few things that we need to keep in mind. The basic question is, what is the relevance of Panchsheel in today's world? The reason I have raised this point to be at the back of your mind is because these principles are more ideology based. Considering in all these sentences we have used a very crucial word, mutual. So both the countries, both the neighbors need to be respectful towards each other and need to be understanding the requirements, the needs of the country, of each other's country. Second point is relevance of ideology in today's fast changing world. Relevance of ideology is that whether we should be shrewd enough to act in the real politic sense of it, or we should be stuck in the ideology bit. What has changed in the last few years is explained in my third point, is that the distorted world order with no global commons. Traditional alignment is being questioned. Both these things, what is happening is that the earlier points on which we had a commonality, say for example, the NATO alliance, it was considered that US will be the major part of the NATO alliance, but now it has started asking questions of its NATO partners. It was always imagined that Russia would help India, US will help Pakistan, but with the changing global order, things are changing. China is on whose side we do not know. So the traditional alignments are being questioned and the world is going haywire. And if we see today's foreign policy of any country is more issue based than ideology based. So the biggest question that confronts us is the balance between ideology and issues. Now, looking into India-Nepal relations, few things again that we need to keep in mind is how we have historically treated Nepal. Historically, our treatment of Nepal has been like a smaller neighbor. Our big brother attitude in the negative sense has been on display on more than one occasion. We have interfered with their election processes. We have interfered when it was a kingdom, giving help to the democratic rule over there. Whenever, and it is a very common thing to say in diplomacy, we have to have a very keen hold in our neighbors' politics, because that is where the policy is formed and that is where our interests come into picture. Just as we think the same, our neighbor, our bigger neighbor, that is China, thinks the same. And slowly and gradually, the Chinese influence has been growing in the Kingdom of Nepal. With Nepal, one important thing is that it is the buffer state between India and China, and that too on the other side of the Himalayas. That is, the Himalayas form the boundary in the northern part of Nepal. So it is very crucial for China to cross that wall and venture into Nepal, and it is very crucial for us that we keep Nepal on our side of policy making. Third thing that we need to keep in mind between these two countries is very unique, is the kind of cultural relations that we share with each other. We have almost got a shared history, and through the friendship treaty that we had signed with Nepal, residents of both the countries can go and work in either of the countries peacefully. Till a point in time, our currency was fully convertible. People from Nepal can come and work in India, have bank accounts over here, and stuff like that. And similarly, people from India can go and work in Nepal. So keeping these two things in mind, if we see, going back to the question, in today's fast changing world, what is the relevance of ideology? Okay, so the basic point that you have to keep in mind while answering this question is, realpolitik is governed by ideology. Okay, but only ideology should not be the fulcrum of our foreign policy. Foreign policy is governed by any nation's self-interest. In order to promote that self-interest, if we have to somewhere forego our principles to an extent, considering the situation around us, it is absolutely fine. So, when we talk about India and Nepal, we have to consider the factors that are building up around this relationship. We cannot speak on a unilateral basis of peace. Peace, respecting each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty, treating each other with equality, is a very mutual thing. We have to have this respect for both the partners. The moment this mutuality finishes and it becomes a unilateral thing, the challenges begin. And that is when we start suddenly feeling that as if we have sidelined our ideology. No, India's foreign policy is based on these principles of Panchsheel. Till date, till now, even right now, seeing the challenges around us, we are continuously working on these principles only. Okay? So, in our answer, it is very important that the relevance of Panchsheel is established. At the same time, we have to talk about the external factors that are affecting these relationship, and then a balance has to be formed that no, the ideology is always there, but we have to keep our self-interest in mind. So, self-interest takes I would say a priority over display of ideology. Mind it, display of ideology. Our self-interest are conjoined with our ideology. So, these are the points that should be mentioned in your answer. Hope to meet you again. Bye-bye.